What's up, guys? I'm Anthony Tocha, joined as always by Eric Ruby. We have got an in-season edition, finally, of our Big 12 Power Rankings. A lot going on in the conference. We've got some winners, we've got some losers, we've got some head scratchers. So, Eric, let's go ahead. Let's get to your Power Rankings of the week.
All right, let's break it down top to bottom. Coming in first, it's Utah, followed by Oklahoma State, Kansas, Arizona, UCF, Iowa State, ASU, West Virginia, TCU, Colorado, Baylor, Texas Tech, BYU, Cincy, and then Houston. Listen, Utah has been Utah. They showed absolutely nothing that would put them anywhere else but number one, right? ASU, though. ASU at 8. Now, listen, these are power rankings as far as where I see, the momentum and everything carrying, right? We're not just saying this is the best, these are the worst teams, whatever. But ASU at 8, you could argue that there wasn't another team that had a better week one than ASU. I'm not even saying that from a biased perspective. I'm seriously trying to step outside and go, compared to expectations and where you thought people would be, ASU at 8, purely based off of the fact that they absolutely dominated Wyoming. I got Tech very much lower at 13 after their Abilene Christian disaster. They still won, but 52-51, and you lose because Abilene Christian decides to go for 2 and they don't get it. You still could have lost that game.
Yeah, that would have been a bad loss.
Right. So you basically got bailed out to beat ACU, right? So those three teams, obviously the top of the top, Texas Tech coming in near the bottom of the bottom. You're not going to unseat a BYU, a Cincy, a Houston, though. And then ASU finding their way at 8. But those are just a couple of the highlights of mine. How similar are our rankings?
Well, let's go. We're very, very similar at number 1, right?
Okay.
Utah is atop my Big 12 power rankings after week 1. It's tough to deny what this team is capable of. And they beat up on a team that they should have beat up on. Cam Rising looks as good as advertised. I know there were a lot of people concerned that he wasn't going to come back and be Cam Rising. Guess what? He's back, and he's Cam Rising. I've got Kansas at 2. Kansas at 2 simply because Jalen Daniels looked like Jalen Daniels.
Sure.
He looked like the guy that we all thought he was going to be. However, with Kansas, it is more of a marathon, not a sprint. Can this team stay healthy, specifically Jalen Daniels? Kansas State looked pretty dang good themselves. Arizona at 4. Iowa State at 5. They are not in the AP Top 25, but they are getting votes. They didn't look too phenomenal.
You had Iowa State over Oklahoma State?
I do have Iowa State over Oklahoma State. Now, Oklahoma State at 6. Ollie Gordon is going to Ollie Gordon on the field, of course. And then Alan Bowman at quarterback for the Cowboys. He looked pretty dang good himself. UCF at 7. Now, UCF is an interesting one for me because going into really the season, the game, KJ Jefferson at quarterback, the Arkansas transfer, high expectations. I know UCF won this game handedly. KJ Jefferson did not play well in that game, specifically through the air, so I'm really interested to see what he's capable of doing, but I believe RJ Harvey is their running back, and he absolutely put the Knights on his back
142,
in that game.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was an animal. And then I've got Arizona State at 8. They make a big jump, obviously a 41-point victory. Love what the defense did. Loved what I saw from Sam Leavitt. And more specifically, the coordinators as well. West Virginia falls a little bit. I have West Virginia at number 9. I know they played Penn State, but overall, that team just didn't look gelled at all. I know there was a little bit of a weather delay in that game, but still, West Virginia needs to get it together if they hope to have a better season. Colorado at 10. I considered moving them even further. Tough when you have Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders doing what they do, but the Colorado defense needs to figure it out. They need to figure it out fast, especially against Nebraska. Baylor at 11. You've already brought up Texas Tech. I've got them at 12. BYU 13. TCU at 14.
Interesting.
I know TCU won. I watched that Stanford game. TCU is going to have problems this season. They did not look good at all. Sonny Dykes. Would not be surprised if he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, looking at mine now, I would probably switch TCU and Colorado. I hate Colorado.
That's fair.
Sorry.
Cincinnati at 15 and Houston, you guys, ding, 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 you're the winner. Because you are that bad. You are the worst team in this conference, bar none. I believe Houston scored 7 points in their season debut. Not very good. Eric, before we get out of here, what team do you think has the biggest chance to rise in week 2?
Biggest chance to rise? It's probably Texas Tech, considering I put them really low after their disaster against Abilene Christian. You just put that behind you and you go out and you just dominate the next game. You're going to jump up a lot. What about you?
I think for me, I am going to go ahead and say I'm going to say Colorado.
That
because
was my second.
They've got a tough game against Nebraska. I have them losing that game against Nebraska. Again, Nebraska handled who they played in week 1. But overall, if this Colorado defense can play a little bit better and they can kind of have a bigger gap in this game than they did against North Dakota State, then I definitely see Colorado's offense being able to continue doing what they do. So I would say Colorado probably has the best chance to rise. But let us know in the comments who you guys think is going to be the biggest riser. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for PHNX Sports, and we will see you next week on an edition of the Big 12 Power Rankings.
We all silly like the mayor.